please!
Hey, buddy.
Art the Clown is back, but this time, he's not alone. After the horror of Terrifier 1, the second part of the movie, written and directed by Damien Leone, was released in 2022. The story resumes after the events of the Miles County Massacre. Art is now resurrected and continues to terrorize the city. Only this time, he has a little sidekick, the little pale girl. The movie also involves two teenagers, Sienna and Jonathan, who are somehow connected to Art. Does Art survive this season? Let's discover. Before we get into the events of Terrifier 2, let's see a quick recap of the original movie. So, here. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Help! Somebody!
Recap. Terrifier came out in 2016, a story about an enigmatic killer, Art the Clown. The movie starts with a scene where a talk show host, Monica Brown, could be seen interviewing a lady whose face looks terrifyingly disfigured. She's a survivor of a deadly encounter with a serial killer on a Halloween night, precisely 1 year from the date of the interview. The lady reveals that the serial killer was dressed as a clown and shot himself after the massacre. However, Monica reveals that the killer's body went missing from the coroner's office before the autopsy. Shockingly, after the interview is over and Monica is in her dressing room, she gets brutally killed by the survivor she was interviewing. The scene cuts to a Halloween night when two friends, Tara and Dawn, leave a Halloween party when they encounter Art. Art starts to follow them, and although initially they thought he was some guy dressed up as a clown for Halloween, they start panicking when Art follows them around. Tara calls her sister, Vicky, or Victoria, to pick her up. That's when Art attacks Dawn and subdues Tara with a sedative. Later, Tara gains consciousness to find Dawn hanging upside down as Art mutilates her in half and forces Tara to watch it. He then shoots Tara to death. Vicky arrives at the scene and discovers Art, who chases her. She finds her sister's corpse, and Art attacks her. Meanwhile, one of the co-workers of the building appears and tries to save Vicky and calls 911. Art finds the co-worker, kills him, and hits Vicky with a pickup truck as she lies unconscious. Art starts to eat her face. Meanwhile, 911 arrive, and that is when Art shoots himself. Vicky is taken to the hospital, and presuming Art to be dead, cops take him to the coroner's office, where Art gets resurrected and kills the medical examiner. 1 year later, she is seen being discharged from the hospital, and that is when we know that she's the same woman Monica interviewed on the talk show. The events shown were those of the year before the interview. Terrifier 2. He's now coming to the second installment of the movie. The movie resumes from the coroner's office. After the Miles County Massacre, when the police arrive at the scene to arrest Art, he shoots himself in the mouth with a gun, supposedly killing him. However, when he's taken to the coroner's office, the lights flicker, and an unknown entity mysteriously resurrects Art. He then brutally murders the coroner who is going to examine him, and during this time, he encounters the little pale girl. We will discuss this new entity in detail later. For now, let's look at the events in this movie. The movie's central story starts 1 year after the events of the Miles County Massacre. In 2018, Sienna, a teenager, is preparing a Halloween costume, an angel warrior whose sketch was made by her father, who recently passed away. The same night, she gets a nightmare of Art and wakes up to find her dresser on fire. The only thing that remains unscathed is a sword gifted to her by her father. On Halloween, Sienna starts having a panic attack when her friends Allie and Brooke discuss how Victoria Hayes brutally mutilated the interviewer after the talk show. Allie and Sienna go to a costume store where they encounter Art, who kills the shop vendor and breaks into Allie's home, brutally killing her. When Allie's mother discovers Art torturing her daughter, Art kills her mother too. Jonathan discovers his father's sketchbook, where he finds Emily Crane's clippings and believes his father somehow knew how to stop Art. Meanwhile, Art arrives and kills Jonathan's mother, Barbara, who kidnaps Jonathan and steals Sienna's sword. At the Halloween party, Sienna's friend Brooke spikes her drink to calm her down, but instead, Sienna gets a panic attack. Brooke and their boyfriends try to take Sienna home, but she gets lured by the little pale girl to the exact location where Art had once brutally killed her years ago. Meanwhile, Art arrives and kills both Brooke and her boyfriend. Art knocks Sienna down unconscious and starts attacking her brother, Jonathan. Sienna gains consciousness to find Art using a scalpel on Jonathan. Both the siblings starts attacking Art and even kill him several times. But, to their bewilderment, Art somehow manages to resurrect every time. It tells us that an evil force is guiding and saving him. Could it be the little girl we are yet to find out? Art kills Sienna with her father's sword and throws her into a water torture cell. As Art attacks Jonathan and starts to eat him, Sienna is mysteriously resurrected by the sword. We can assume that since her father gifted her the mystical sword, her father had some connection with Art and probably even knew how to kill him. Sienna picks up the sword and decapitates Art. The little pale girl takes Art's decapitated head and leaves the scene without hurting Sienna and Jonathan. In a mid-credit scene, Vicky could be seen inside an institution where she writes Vicky plus Art, and other obscenities on the wall with her blood. As a nurse watches her, and to the nurse's horror, Vicky gives birth to Art's living head. It indicates that this is not the end of Art the Clown's terror. However, one of the movie's most exciting characters remain, the little pale girl. She is not as violent as Art. Throughout the film, she doesn't really harm anyone, but we can sense a connection between the girl, Art, Jonathan, Sienna, and their father. Although the little pale girl's identity is not to be disclosed, fans have theories about the origins of the little girl. We can expect to discover more about his mysterious character in the third installment of the Terrifier franchise, which will be released in October 2024. In the meantime, let's explore some possibilities about the little pale girl's story. Who is Little Pale Girl in Terrifier 2, and what does the movie reveal about the backstory and origins of the Little Pale Girl? So, played by Amali McLean, Art the Clown's mini sidekick is named after the Little Pale Girl. So, who is she? After murdering the coroner, Art goes to the laundromat to clean his blood-soaked clothes. That is where he first encounters the little pale girl waving at him. She is in clown attire, similar to Art's, and is invisible to ordinary people. Art looks at the little pale girl, unable to recognize her. After all, it was Halloween, and she could be any little girl dressed up as a clown. Since their first meeting, the girl and Art have gone on adventures, scaring and killing people. The next time we encounter the little pale girl, we are in a workshop with Art, where they create weapons. Interestingly, this scene seems like the opening scene of the original movie, Terrifier, where Victoria is interviewed by the talk show host, Monica Brown. The only difference is that the little girl could be seen watching the TV this time, with some noticeable differences in Victoria's appearance. However, the significance of this scene to the movie is yet to be known. Apart from Art, Sienna and her brother Jonathan were two other people who could see the little pale girl. Their father died of a brain tumor, and after that, Jonathan discovered his father's sketchbook, where he found sketches of Art the Clown. On Halloween, Jonathan sees Art and the little pale girl playing with a dead opossum in his school. Terrified, he runs back home to tell his sister, Sienna, that he saw the clown in his school. He even shows Sienna the sketches of the clown from his father's sketchbook. Before encountering the girl, Jonathan had read the newspaper clippings attached to his father's notebook about a 10-year-old girl, Emily Crane, who I think was probably the first victim of Art the Clown, and her resemblance with the little pale girl. So one thing to notice here is that Emily was the daughter of two prominent circus performers. She belonged to a family with a long line of top-rated and well-respected circus performers, mime artists, and similar talent. Art is a clown, so there might be some connection between this girl and Art. However, some fan theories suggest that there may be some connection between Art the Clown and Sienna and Jonathan. Their father had a sketchbook with Art's sketches, and they were the only two, apart from Art, who could see this little girl. In the original Terrifier movie, we see Victoria acting strangely after the interview on the talk show. After the show, she even murdered and disfigured the interviewer Monica Brown's face. So maybe there's a chance that Art has possessed Victoria. One commonality we noticed in Victoria and the little pale girl is that their eyes light up in yellow. It could mean that Art possesses both of them. In Terrifier 2, we can notice that the little pale girl has not directly harmed anyone, although she has the power to pretend and sound like anyone she wants and mess up everyone's head. The exact identity of the little pale girl has yet to be discovered. We know that an evil entity resurrected Art after he blew himself up with gun, so there could be a possibility that this little girl was the one behind it. Also, we see that some force was responsible for resurrecting Sienna after Art killed her, so there's also a chance that the little girl has come from the other side to take revenge on Art. We are excited about the Terrifier franchise's installment to learn more about this little pale girl character. What does the pale girl want, and why can only 3 people see her? With her demonic presence, the little pale girl in Terrifier 2 is more than just a character. She's the reason behind Art the Clown's resurrection. Her unique and exclusive power, which allows her to be visible only to a few, or perhaps only those with a specific link to Art the Clown, further solidifies her connection to the main antagonist. When Art first sees her in the laundry room, he engages with her in a playful mode where, besides splattering ounces of blood, he plays a childish game with the clown, thus connecting with his eccentric and mischievous nature. However, when the security guard wakes up from his sleep, he observes, or instead, sees only the clown engaging an invisible entity in the laundry room. That surprises him. But before he can question further, he meets his desired fate, death. Indeed, this meeting scene between Art and the pale little girl is gross. But there's nothing more gross than the scene where Jonathan sees the pale little girl in the school with Art, and both are playing with a dead animal, fleshing everything out of its stomach, and even eating the intestines and other things. That's disgusting. You will run to the loo to puke if you're sophisticated or soft-hearted. Compared to Jonathan and Art, Sienna's encounter with the little pale girl is less gross. She sees her at the Halloween party, but only like a flash, and here, also, except for Sienna, others don't see her. But who is this pale little girl? You don't get a concrete answer to this question, at least not in Terrifier 2. However, there has been a reference to the missing girl, Emily, who went missing from Art the Clown Funhouse. But except for that, only little is known. Moreover, keeping in mind the twisted antics of the little pale girl, it becomes difficult to believe Emily and the pale little girl are the same person. So many audiences and even the media think that she can be a demonic or a satanic entity, and the fact that only 3 people can see her makes her powers different from the brutal power of Art. So what do you think is the pale little girl? A demonic entity? You will get the answer in Terrifier 3, where we may see a backstory to her. Well, we all await that, so let's see what we see there. What makes her pure evil? Although the little pale girl is just a sidekick of Art the Clown, remember she is the one responsible for Art the Clown's resurrection and the series of murders that follow next. Moreover, the connection or the bond that is established between Art and the little pale girl is based on gross actions, twisted antics, and pure sadism, where both enjoy killing, be it a security guard or any innocent animal. The audience can also not forget how the little pale girl lured Sienna while mimicking Jonathan's voice and even distracted her, like lying and disguising the truth. Finally, don't forget that the little pale girl is pivotal in keeping the Art the Clown alive so he can perform further brutal acts. If you watch the movie until the mid-credit, you will notice how the pale little girl helps resurrect the clown through Victoria, the only survivor of the Miles County Massacre. Her sudden pregnancy gives birth to the severed head of Art, thus keeping the movie open-ended for the 3rd series and further killing spree. So, what do you think? Can there be anyone more evil than the little pale girl?
What's wrong with you? Please, I'm really scared. I don't know what else to do.
Marvelous verdict. So, marvelous people, we come to the end of this video. What do you think about little pale girl? Do you think she's a demonic entity? She can be. I mean, we can only know these answers once we watch Terrifier 3, which will also hit the screen. However, if you have more theories to share with us, please do so, and show that in the comment section below. I'm signing off today. I'll meet you again in the upcoming video. Goodbye, and keep watching good content. If you liked our video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe. Thanks everyone.